Yo, what it do, everybody? What is going on? We are back with another video, and we are back with something a little bit different. I have done one of these videos in the past that's no longer on my channel. It was back when I started doing the YouTube thing, but I'm back and I'm ready to do this the right way. We are coming at you today with March Madness picks. I am recording and dropping this video on the same day because March Madness starts tomorrow. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a football guy and I like basketball, but I don't know basketball quite like I should. So we have a special guest who is going to be putting together the official Michael Sports bracket. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my best friends that I've ever had. I've known him since we were this tall. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Jabari Anderson. Jabari, go ahead and introduce yourself. He's my basketball guru. Jabari, tell him what's up.
Hello, I'm Jabari Anderson. I've been keeping up with college basketball this year, and the way the tournament's shaping up, I hit up Michael, and we watched basketball the other day, and I was telling him, man, we got to make these brackets. It's looking this year is gonna be great.
We did. We watched some conference tournaments on Saturday, some really exciting games, and then a couple more exciting games on Sunday too. I got a little bit of knowledge, but like I said, I got my guru here with me today. But I'm excited. I hope Jabari's excited, and I hope that you viewers are excited as well. So without further ado, here we go. Cue the French Montana.
I'm in London, got my beat from London.
I style, no stylish, no Chanel, Saint Laurent, Gucci bag, lifestyle, no stylish, Louis Vuitton, Jimmy Choo, that's on you, diamonds on my neck, frozen tears, hopping out the jet, Lears, back tears, getting wet, here, yes, don't call me till the checks clear.
Okay, guys, so we got the screen recording rolling. Jabari, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start in the East. We're going to go ahead and start with the easy one. A little bit of the ones that I might have questions on or I'm a little bit intrigued about. Jabari already knows, but you guys don't know. I am going to be asking questions, kind of doing this like an interview, not so much like a debate. There might be some where I really question it, but Jabari knows how this is going to go down. You guys just enjoy this for the ride. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start with number 1 UConn taking on 16 seed Stetson. Who you got?
That's an easy one. UConn's disciplined. UConn has the team. UConn is the better team. 16's not taking out this one. It's not going to happen.
I've got no questions on that one. Let's go ahead and move on to 8 versus 9. FAU taking on Northwestern.
Now, this is one that stumped me whenever I was looking at the bracket, because you want to look and say this is an 8-9. You know, this is an even matchup. So Northwestern's athletic. They're a good team coming to play in Brooklyn, and but they are going against FAU, and FAU does have the experience. FAU has been here before, so I believe they do beat this Northwestern team, but it is a good run for Northwestern. I think this will be good for their program.
So that was one that I was going to ask about, because it is an 8-9 seed. I did want to get a little bit more insight, but you went ahead and provided that for me. If I'm not mistaken, FAU was in the Final Four last year, right?
Yeah, FAU didn't make the Final Four last year.
Okay, then we got number 5, San Diego State taking on UAB. Now, I've heard a lot of chatter about San Diego State, and they were in the Final Four last year. Who do you got winning this one? Number 5 seed San Diego State versus number 12 seed UAB.
Okay, I have San Diego State, but it is a big but. I don't want this upset to happen because it's going to break my bracket. But UAB is an athletic team with Eric Gaines. Like, they have some players over there that are athletic, long, just hands are everywhere guys. But San Diego State is the more disciplined team, is the more tournament-ready team. So I hope that they can pull this through.
Okay. So then we go ahead and move on to number 4, Auburn taking on number 13, Yale. Now, if y'all don't know me, I'm really big on the Ivy League schools for no particular reason, but I'm a Harvard fan, so I don't like Yale, but I also am not the biggest fan of Auburn. Jabari has told me plenty of times that Auburn has a real squad this year, so I feel like I know who you're going to pick, but go ahead and tell me.
Auburn's got a real squad, bro. They've got defense, and as far as coaching goes, they have one of the best coaches in the nation. So I just don't see how Yale could stump these boys. It would be really tough.
And I watched Auburn play Florida the other day, and that was just Florida was in it for a little while, but you could just tell that the score was closer than the game was. Auburn really had Florida bad in that one.
Yeah, their defense is just crazy. Like, that's what I base their team off of. I don't look too much on their offensive end. I think defensively, they're just one of those teams in the tournament that causes havoc, like, a lot.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and let my cat out real quick, so he's not disturbing the video. But at the next game we got, the next matchup is 6-seeded BYU taking on DeKents. You probably know who is it?
We'll just say the Dukes. We'll say Dukes.
The Dukes. Yeah, they got in because they won their tournament. So who do you got, BYU or the Dukes?
Okay, I'm going to go with BYU here, but I did watch the Dukes go up against VCU. I was here at my house. VCU is a very athletic team, and the Dukes had trouble. Like, it was not a cakewalk. They had trouble. But I think I've watched BYU too, and BYU can, whenever those threes are falling and whenever their team is clicking, the points add up quickly. And I think that BYU is going to just be too much for the Dukes. So.
All right. Next matchup, we got number 3 Illinois taking on number 14 Morehead State. And I watched not Morehead State. I watched Illinois play Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, I thought, had a really good shot. But Illinois, they've got that guard, or I think he's a stretch forward, number 0. I forgot his name, but he is a really, really solid player at Illinois. And they've got guys all over the court. I think Illinois is going to win. Who do you have winning this one, Jabari?
I have Illinois too. You know, it's just that easy to make that pick. You know, it's just a more disciplined team. It comes down to experience, and I just can't see them losing this game. That's simple as that goes.
All right, here we go. Our next matchup, number 7 seed Washington State taking on 10 seed Drake. Who you got in this one?
Okay, this is the one that a lot of people have been calling the upset game because this seems to be flipped. They think that the rankings are flipped, and I do think that the rankings are flipped too, because Drake is a really good team. Drake is, they're hot. They're getting hot at the right time. If you watch their Illinois State game, or Indiana State, they played Indiana State, but for their championship, they played really hard, and I think that they're going to keep that wave going up against Washington State. Washington State made a good run, but is this our first upset? This is our first upset.
So we're going to go ahead and pick 10-seeded Drake to beat Washington State. I was getting a little worried. I was going down the list, and I know we're just in the first region right now, but I was like, man, when is he going to pick an upset? And I guess this is the one. Drake is going to beat Washington State, you think?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Moving on, we have Iowa State taking on South Dakota State. Who do you got in that one?
I'm going with the Big 12 team. I'm going with Iowa State.
I agree.
Is a tough team. I've seen them play against my team, Oklahoma, and it's just like they suffocate the offense. And if you're an offensive team, I'm unsure. I am unsure. Let me check to see one more time. I'm unsure if South Dakota State can keep the points coming consistently that whole game and just be able to last with them boys. I don't think it's going to work. Right. So I do have Iowa State.
Well, and I watched Iowa State play the other day against Houston, who I think, just as a novice and as honestly a casual, what I've been seeing is Houston's the best team in the country, and Iowa State honestly wiped the floor with them. But that's going to do it for the first round of the East. So we're going to go round by round. We're not going to do all of the East to get to the Final Four. We're going to go round by round. So let's go ahead and move on to the West. Number 1 seeded North Carolina taking on what's going to be a play-in matchup between Howard and Wagner. Do you think that matters? Do you think if Howard wins or if Wagner wins, does that matter, or is North Carolina winning regardless?
They can't rebound with North Carolina, so it really doesn't matter. It comes down to that, and I don't think they can rebound with it.
Yeah, I thought that was an easy one. Now, this next one I think is really, really intriguing. Number 8 Mississippi State versus number 9 Michigan State. This is another one that I was hearing a lot of, oh, maybe it's flipped. What do you think? Who do you have winning this game? Number 8 Mississippi State versus number 9 Michigan State.
Now this was tough. You know, it's hard for me to go against Coach Tom Izzo. It's hard.
Right.
It's hard for me to go against a Michigan State team that's athletic, has a great roster. But I think Mississippi State's hot. I think offensively they're a shifty team. They play a lot of ISO ball and they get it done. So I really think Mississippi State's going to take this game.
All right. How did they look against Auburn the other day? I didn't get a chance to watch that game. Did you get a chance to watch that one?
I did not get a chance to watch that game, but I watched which game? I just watched the highlights of Mississippi State playing somebody.
Gotcha.
Who was that? That was against the Tennessee game.
I got you.
They beat Tennessee.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. We got number 5 St. Mary's taking on number 12 Grand Canyon. St. Mary's, they're out of the Big East. Big East was really strong this year. Who do you got winning this game?
I have St. Mary's winning this game. Grand Canyon University is a really good team. They're a tall team, athletic team. But I just think that St. Mary's is too disciplined and they're going to advance. That's as simple as that is.
And then we move on to Alabama taking on Charleston. Who you got in that one?
So Charleston, that's a team that can put the ball in the cup. They get it done on offense. But nobody's talking about how good Alabama's offense is. Like, that's not the issue. Alabama's defense has not been consistent all year. But I think when it stacks up offensively, if you're going to do an offensive versus offensive team, I'm going to take Bama. That won't be an upset for me.
And then we got Clemson taking on New Mexico. I heard a lot of chatter that, hey, Clemson might not be a 6 seed. They might not be that good. Do we have another upset in this one? What are we thinking for 6-seeded Clemson taking on number 11-seeded New Mexico?
I think New Mexico is hot right now. They're playing with the fire, and I think that they're going to upset these.
Wow, so another upset. And it was one that I was thinking, like, hey, maybe. So as of right now, I'm a casual, right? But as of right now, I think I agree with a lot of the picks that you have made up to this point.
Yeah.
Then we move on to number 3-seeded Baylor taking on number 14-seeded Colgate.
Baylor's defense, Baylor's offense. Baylor wipes this whole game. Baylor's going to take this.
All right. Moving on, number 7 Dayton taking on number 10 Nevada.
Now, they have the Dayton Flyers. We have them boys. They're a good team. They're a basketball school. You hear a lot about them. However, I do think Nevada's going to come to play, so I'm going to take number 10 Nevada in this game.
Okay, so we get back. We're not back-to-back upsets because Baylor, but in the last 3 picks, we got 2 upsets. Don't know if we're going to get one here, though. Long Beach State, the number 15 seed, taking on number 2 Arizona. What are we thinking for this one?
Now, there's one name that I know in college basketball right now, and that is Caleb Love. And he came from UNC. He's an older guy. He's a veteran. He's been there, done this. I got Arizona.
All right. So we are done with the West now. Let's go ahead and move on over. Do you want to go ahead and talk about the Midwest, or do you want to talk about the South first?
Let's talk about the South.
All right, let's go ahead and talk about the South. Then we got number 1 Houston, who got spanked by Iowa State in their matchup in the Big 12 championship tournament game, taking on Longwood. Who do you got in this one?
Houston. I've seen them in person, and they just they don't take their foot off the gas. They don't.
Yeah,
they don't.
And I think whenever it came to Houston versus Iowa State, it's not that Iowa State was the better team. Houston looked so off in that. So I think they'll bounce back. Then we got Nebraska. Nebraska made it. I didn't know if Nebraska was going to make it, but I'm glad to see that they did. They're taking on Texas A&M. Who you got in that one?
That's a tough one. That's going to be a dogfight. However, I don't believe Texas A&M is going to figure out the style of play Nebraska has.
Wow.
This is a tough team. They've been playing in the SEC. SEC is bang. You get to the paint and you bang. You have those ISO players. However, Nebraska plays as a team, and we all know about Tominaga. And I feel like Nebraska is just going to be too much for this A&M team.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. But if you know me, you know I'm really excited for this one. The number 5 seeded Wisconsin Badgers. I was happy to see they made it. I was happy to see how high of a seed they have. They're taking on 12 seed James Madison. Who you got in this one? Please do not break my heart.
I'm gonna have to break your heart.
Oh no.
James Madison is 31-3, and you might say this is James Madison. We're talking about a low-level D1. We're talking about mid-team. No, this team is disciplined. This team plays basketball the correct way, and I think that James Madison is not 31-3 for no reason with a conference championship. So, with that being said, I'm taking another upset.
Okay, here we that big upset. James Madison beating Wisconsin. We'll see. I hope not, but like I said, you're in control of my bracket, so I got to pick James Madison to beat Wisconsin. Then we go ahead and we get Duke. Haven't heard a lot about Duke this year, and for someone that knows about it but doesn't pay too much attention, I still expect to hear about Duke. Well, they're taking on Vermont. Who do you got in this one?
I have Duke. They've played well all year. They've hit some bumps. Their team's cruising, but I think they're a disciplined team. I think they know how to get it done. And especially this first round, you know, they're going to understand what's at stake, and they don't want to lose this game, so I have Duke.
Gotcha. And then we go ahead and get to Texas Tech taking on NC State. NC State, they were pretty competitive against North Carolina the other day. They have an 11 seed. Who do you have winning this game?
So NC State, they won their conference championship. They're a hot team right now. But Texas Tech is a really tough team in the Big 12. The Big 12 does not get recognition right now for their basketball power.
And they have the most teams in.
Yeah,
they
have
a lot of chatter.
Yeah, they just don't get that much chatter, but I just think that Texas Tech defensively, they'll be able to kind of corral and keep NC State at bay, and they'll win this game.
Gotcha. So we're going to go ahead and click on Texas Tech there. Then we got the number 3 Kentucky Wildcats taking on Oakland. Who do you got in this one?
I have an electric Kentucky team. I love Kentucky right now. I have Kentucky.
I gotcha. I was scared you were going to pick an upset there.
Nah.
I don't know. The way that you started that sentence, I was like, he's about to pick upset? No, we're picking Kentucky.
No.
In this one. Then we got Florida, number 7 seed. They're going to be taking on a play-in team situation, Colorado or Boise. This one's kind of more difficult because it's 7 versus 10. We don't know if it's going to be Colorado or Boise. Either way, who do you have winning this one?
So, with Boise State squeezing in, Boise State is an athletic team with some shooters on the perimeter. I could see them having trouble with Boise State. However, I just don't think that Boise State or Colorado does have the power to, you know, both halves last with Florida. That's what it comes down to, and I don't think that they do.
So we're going to go ahead and pick the Gators on that one. Then we have perhaps the best team in Wisconsin, Marquette, taking on Western Kentucky. 2 versus 15. What are we thinking here?
Western Kentucky cannot hang with Marquette this year, and I think that it's a good run for them, but Western Kentucky are gone in the first round.
Well, and I'd like to see what Marquette's going to do, because the 2 games that I paid attention to Marquette was against UConn in the regular season, one of their games against UConn in the regular season, and against UConn in the conference championship game, and it just, like, Marquette did not look good in either of those games. And I was really pulling for him because, me being a Wisconsin sports fan, you know, the Packers and the Badgers, I really wanted to see Marquette do well as well. Hopefully they end up picking it up. But we're moving on to the next part, our last little bit of the first round. We have number 1 Purdue taking on possibly Grambling or Montana State. Who do you got in that one?
It doesn't matter. I have Purdue taking that one. Zach Edey, you can't. They're not going to be able to get boards. This is that. So.
Then we have Utah State taking on TCU, 8 versus 9. Who do you got in that one?
I have TCU, and this is another team out of the Big 12. They're a tough, tall, aggressive, and physical team. This is one of the teams I watched during the tournament beat my OU Sooners. So this is a team I know about, and I think they'll get done.
And then we got Gonzaga taking on McNeese. Who do we got in that one? I got a buddy who I think he goes to McNeese, or maybe he went to McNeese before he went to LSU. But shout out to my dude Connor. I know who he's pulling for in that one. But tell me who's going to win this game.
McNeese is a really good team. Like, they're solid, so they can make this game a really good game. However, this is Gonzaga's game to lose if you think about it that way. You know what I'm saying? Gonzaga has to play not Gonzaga basketball in order to lose this game, but I'm going with Gonzaga with that. So.
Okay, I like that pick. And ooh, my ring light just turned off. I'm gonna go ahead and just do the overhead lighting. Not as pretty, but it's still lighting. But then we move on to Kansas versus Samford. Who do we got in this one?
Oh, I have Kansas. Kansas is a tough team. Like I said, I like that aggressive brand of basketball. And yeah, they play an aggressive, smooth basketball. If they get Hunter Dickinson back, I'm not sure about that. I did not read up on that. Their center, if they get Hunter Dickinson, this is for sure.
Yeah, because they've been dealing with injuries for the past, for basically the whole season. But I'm ready to see how they bounce back and end up playing. Then we move to number 6 seeded South Carolina taking on 11 seed my Oregon Ducks. Probably wouldn't have been in the tournament unless they won the Pac-12 tournament, but they found a way. They're in the tournament. I'm not going to be able to watch. I'll be at work, but I'm excited for this one. Who do you got winning?
Give me them boys.
All right, we're picking the Ducks
over
South Carolina. Can I ask you why?
Here's what I'll say. South Carolina is a spark. Whenever the points are coming in, they're coming in. South Carolina can pour it in from the 3. However, Oregon, I watched that whole game with you the other night, and one thing I could see is their paint presence is very large.
Yeah. And I'm hoping Dante can really pull up and do his thing again, like Jordan Bell did against Kansas in that entire tournament. If Dante can just become Jordan Bell 2.0 and carry us throughout this tournament, I'm hoping we have a really big tournament. Then we go ahead and move on to Creighton taking on Akron. Creighton coming out of the Big East. The Big East was really, really good this year. Who do you got winning this one?
I have Creighton winning this game. They know how to put the ball in the bucket, and they play a great brand of basketball. So, yeah, Creighton's going to move on.
Then we get number 7 seeded Texas taking on either Virginia or taking on, is it Colorado State? Is that who?
That's Colorado State.
Okay, who do you got in this one either way?
This one's tough, but I'm taking Texas. I have to take Texas because Texas is going to be the more rested squad. They will be prepared. Regardless of who wins, they get to see this game play out, and I think that they'll just have
right. All right, I got you. And then our last round 1 matchup, Tennessee taking on St. Peter's. Now, I know what America wants to hear because St. Peter's had that awesome Cinderella run 2 years ago, but this Tennessee team is really good. Who do you have, Jabari?
I have Tennessee. This is the first time St. Peter's is going to see basically a ranked opponent all season, top 25. So I think they're in for a rude awakening. First round of this tournament.
All right, I got you. And that concludes the first round. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the second round. We're going to stay in the Midwest. We're not going to leave. We're just going to stay where we are. Let's go ahead and get back to Purdue taking on number 9 seeded TCU.
Okay, this game, that's going to be a tough game. I feel like this is a game where it's going to test Zach Edey mentally and physically because that man, we know he can play. He's a 7. You know what I'm saying? He's supposed to play. So this is their game to lose. So I'm taking Purdue.
All right, I like that pick. Then we have a blue blood matchup, Gonzaga versus Kansas. Who do we got in that one?
I have a smooth flowing Kansas team this tournament. In March.
All right.
It's March. I believe that Kansas will keep it flowing, and I believe that they have the experience with their players. So I do believe that.
I like it. I like Kansas in that one. I'm going to be pulling for Gonzaga. My girl Taylor lives out there. She's really cool. Yeah. She's a big Gonzaga supporter. So I'm going to be pulling for Gonzaga, but I think Kansas has the team this year. Then we have number 11 Oregon taking on number 3 Creighton. Hey, in our big run in 2017, we had to beat Creighton. Now, we were the better team. This isn't really the case this time, but who are you picking?
I'm going with Creighton. I feel like Oregon's going to get that first round game. I feel like that's going to be a big talk in, just college basketball in general. But I just believe this second round is where it gets pushed. All
right, so we're going to go ahead and pick Creighton in that one. Then we got Texas taking on Tennessee. This is a future SEC matchup next year in football and basketball. This is an SEC matchup. I know the football fans because, hey, down here in the South, that's what's big in Texas and Tennessee. But this is basketball. Who's winning this one?
I have number 2 Tennessee. from this part of the bracket. And I say that because
I didn't think you would pick upset in this one.
I'm not going upset in this one. Tennessee is going to be rolling smooth. Tennessee is also coming off a loss, so I feel like these first two games they're going to really be trying to pick it up.
Yeah, I got you. So let's go ahead and creep on up back to the South, and we have number 1 Houston taking on number 8 Nebraska. And man, I'm telling you, if this is what we get, I am excited for it. But who do you have winning that one?
Houston, their defense, they play a suffocating brand of defense, and I just feel like Nebraska's ball handlers will not be able to handle it at Houston.
All right,
Rolling.
I like that pick. Then we have James Madison. You talked up James Madison. I'm hoping you pick upset here. They're taking on number 4 Duke. Who do you got in this one?
Now, I feel like this is where James Madison does come to me. The second round is where emotions are going to be running high. You just coming off of a victory, especially in upset. This is an upset. They may think that they're the underdogs, but the rankings say upset, and I think that Duke is just going to be too much for those boys.
All right. Then we have number 6 Texas Tech taking on number 3 Kentucky.
This game is going to be interesting because Texas Tech is great defensively and Kentucky is great offensively. So, I mean, it just depends on how Texas Tech can play this. I believe it's going to be a close game throughout, but Kentucky walks away with this victory.
All right. So far, we don't have any round 2 upsets. Let's see if we get one here. Florida versus Marquette. 7-seeded Florida, number 2 seeded Marquette.
I don't see an upset happening there. I think Marquette is a smooth team this year, like really smooth, and I think that they'll just keep it going.
All right, so you're rolling with Marquette in that one. Let's go ahead and get over to, let's go ahead and just go in reverse order of what we went the first time. Let's go on back to the West. We have number 1 North Carolina versus number 8 Mississippi State. Now, every year we get a 1 versus 8 upset. Is this the one?
This is not the one. I believe North Carolina is a really disciplined team. They have lapses during games. However, I just don't believe that North Carolina is going to let this one slip, especially with the expectations they have this year.
Yeah. And then we have number 5 St. Mary's taking on number 4 Alabama. This one, if it happens, I'm excited for it too. Who do you got in this one?
St. Mary's.
St. Mary's again. So there's our first upset. It's a 5 over a 4, but I'm still calling it an upset.
Yeah.
I like St. Mary's over Alabama.
I just believe St. Mary's, if you watch them play, they don't make too many mistakes. Like, they're just a really good gel team. They're well coached, and I just believe, Alabama, they can put the ball in the basket, but they play a freelance style. So I don't see that working against such a well-oiled team. So, yeah. Okay,
I got you. Then we have number 11 New Mexico, who you had getting an upset over Clemson. They're playing against number 3 Baylor. Who's winning this one?
I have Baylor. I believe this is where New Mexico runs out of gas, and Baylor is a really good team, well coached. They've been here before. They've seen this. And, yes, this is Baylor's game.
All right, here we go. And then we have Nevada taking on number 2 Arizona. Arizona looked like a 1 seed for the most part of the season. They ended up being a 2, but I think they're one of the best teams in the country. What do you think going against Nevada?
I agree with you. I think that Arizona is one of the best teams in the country, top 5. So I believe Arizona is going to win this game surely with ease. I think that these first 2 rounds will be with ease for them.
All right, and then we're going to go ahead and move on up to our last of the second round. We have UConn taking on FAU. UConn, the defending champs. Who's winning this one?
UConn. It's got to be. It's got to be. UConn is a really good team. FAU has been here before. They're going to know how much this second round means. But UConn is just the better coach, better team, and they should not lose this game.
I got you. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to San Diego State taking on Auburn. Who do you got in that one?
Now, this is one of those things where it could be flipped. It could be San Diego State at 4, Auburn. I believe these rankings are that's just these two teams are going to clash. However, I do think that with that game being such a grinded out game, Auburn's going to be the one to pull that one out.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and pick Auburn in that one. Then we got number 6 BYU taking on an Illinois team that I think is really tough. Who's going to win this one?
BYU is going to get stumped this game. I think Illinois' defense is very disciplined, and I think that they have the guys to corral BYU shooters and really lock that game down.
All right, I like that pick. And then we got number 10, Drake. You had them upsetting Washington State. Now they got to play Iowa State, a little bit of a different beast. Who's going to win this one?
I believe that different beast wins the show, and I think that Iowa State is a really good team this year. So, Drake, good run, good first round upset, but goodbye.
All right, we're going to go ahead and pick Iowa State. Okay, me and Jabari are going to take a little bit of a break here. You guys aren't going to miss any of the action. If you're watching, we're just going to go ahead and transition it. But as of right now, we are going into the Sweet Six, or I'm sorry, I think that was the second round. We're going to be moving on into the Sweet 16 here in just a second.
A few minutes later.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and leave off, or I guess get back into right where we left off. Number 1 UConn taking on number 4 Auburn in the Sweet 16. Who do you got in that one?
I have UConn. UConn is a really good team. This is where I feel like Auburn runs out of juice. Yeah. Auburn gets a little bit undisciplined and tries to really compete with UConn, and this is where it happens.
So I thought you were going to go upset there. I really thought you had higher hopes for Auburn. And don't get me wrong, making it to the Sweet 16 is great. But I thought you had Auburn going a little bit further. I'm surprised by your pick, but I don't disagree. I like UConn winning that one. This game, I honestly wanted to save this side of the bracket for the end of our Sweet 16 talk, because this is the game, if it happens, I'm most excited for. Number 3 Illinois versus number 2 Iowa State. Both teams looked amazing in their finals, in their like conference finals or whatever.
Yeah.
Who do you have winning, number 3 Illinois or number 2 Iowa State?
This one's gonna be an upset, and I feel like number 3 Illinois is gonna take this game.
Wow. All right, I don't hate the pick. I liked how both teams looked so much. I don't hate the pick whatsoever. I do think Iowa State's in the stronger conference, but then again, I mean, hey, I don't hate the pick. Then we go ahead and move on to North Carolina, another number 1 seed. They're taking on number 5 St. Mary's. Who do you got winning this one?
This is the first seed gone from me.
Whoa, okay. So 2 back-to-back I'm going to say shocking picks coming from you.
This is crazy.
Number 5, why St. Mary's over North Carolina?
St. Mary's is something about just a tight-knit, well-coached team to me. Like, I believe North Carolina is really good. I believe they have the players. They have the star powers. They have the talks of college basketball right now. But I just feel like St. Mary's is a really low-key school that's, coached well, and they're going to come to play. And
I got you. All right, so I'm excited to see if that happens. If, of course, St. Mary's gets the chance to play in North Carolina. To all of our viewers, yes, the screen recording, I did not screen record me picking UConn and Illinois, but I'm kind of showing y'all right now as I do a little slide there. But yes, that is who he picked. And obviously, if you're listening, you know that's who he picked, but I just didn't have it on the screen recording, so sorry about that. Let's go ahead and move on. Number 3 Baylor versus number 2 Arizona. Who do you got?
Arizona, goodbye.
Whoa, so another upset. Not as big of a surprising upset, but why Baylor over Arizona in this one?
I feel like Arizona has been the team, like you said, they've been a really good team all year. They've had their ups and downs. They've kind of come into the team that they are now with Caleb Love really, at the helm of the team, running the show. But I feel like come to this round, come Baylor, I feel like defensively they're going to have the tactics and strategy just to, corral him and slow their offense down. And really, in the end, just have a better team game.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on. We got a couple more Sweet 16 matchups. Let's go ahead and start with number 1 Purdue taking on number 4 Kansas. This is another one, like I said, if it happens, I'm super excited for. Who do you got in this one?
You got Dwayne Harris, you got Zach Edey, you got Hunter. You have so many names in this game right here. This is a game that's, Jalen Wilson, you have some really high flyers. You have Zach Edey sitting in the paint. However, I just think Purdue is going to be able to really lock down the paint and make sure that the paint points are controlled in the end. And this is a game at Kansas Falls. This is Purdue's going to keep rolling.
All right, so you got high hopes for Purdue. Purdue has been one of those teams that they've got the squad, but they always end up falling short. You've got high hopes for Purdue. You got them in the Elite Eight.
The March Purdue curse is what they say.
But it looks like you got them playing into April. So hey, let's go ahead and get on to Creighton taking on Tennessee. Who's going to go ahead and win this one?
I have number 3 Creighton. I feel like them
right.
the Jays, the Birds are gonna keep rolling, man.
So another little upset that you got in that one, and I'm actually this is still the Elite Eight. This is the
Sweet 16.
Yeah, this is still the Sweet 16. This is still the Sweet 16. But all right, let's go ahead and move on up and get on to Houston taking on Duke. Who's going to win that one? Number 1 Houston or number 4 Duke?
Houston's going to come out and really shock this Duke team. I think that Duke is a really well team. Like, they're a really good team. They have the bigs, they have the guards. But Houston also has the bigs and has the guards. And Jamal Shed is magnificent for Houston.
Right.
So I feel like this is going to be a game that he really shows that he is a really highly touted guard. And Houston's going to take control of that game early.
Okay, so we picked Houston. Jamal Shed, you brought him up. He had a really rough game against Iowa State. I mean, all of the Houston guys did. But you think that they're going to bounce back from that and be just fine?
I do.
All right. I got you. So let's go ahead and move on to Kentucky taking on Marquette. Another one I'm excited for if it does get to happen.
Kentucky cruises through this game, but not like a typical cruise. I think Kentucky probably punches them in the mouth, and Marquette's not going to understand, this team can score the ball. Like, Kentucky can really score the ball in bunches when they get going, and this is going to be a game where emotions are high. And
so we're going to go ahead and pick Kentucky, but you think that Kentucky's going to maybe not win with ease, but you think that they're going to be able to take care of Marquette as opposed to it being, a real nail biter.
Yeah, see that.
Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and stay here in the South, and Houston taking on Kentucky. This is for the Final Four. Who's going to the Final Four, Houston or Kentucky?
Give me them boys from H-Town. Is it?
Okay, here we go.
They're going to keep rolling.
Picking Houston to beat Kentucky. And I would ask why, but we just know how good Houston is, so I feel no need. This one, though, Purdue versus Creighton. You have been really high on both of these teams just in the conversation today. Does Purdue finally beat their demons and make it to the Final Four, or is Creighton going to be, honestly, kind of a shocker team to make the Final Four? Who do you got?
I feel like Purdue is going to make well of this game. I feel like this is a game they have to make a statement, and they're going to understand that. And Zach Edey, Gatorade Player of the Year, bro. You're going to have to play. And this is going to be a game that I feel like is his monster game. So
we're going to go ahead and pick Purdue. Now, me personally, I'm not a Purdue believer. Like, I believe in the curse. I believe that they are just not going to perform in March. But then again, I'm a casual. What do I know? I'm going to believe you. I'm going to put Purdue in the Final Four. Let's go ahead and settle some more Final Four teams. A little bit of a shocker. This Elite Eight matchup kind of shocks me. Number 5, St. Mary's. Number 3, Baylor. Who do you got winning and why?
I have Baylor winning this game, but I feel like this is going to be one of those games that's going to be, a nail biter. It's really going to go down to the wire. Baylor's going to, I feel like, get on a good run, and they might go up by 10 or 12. But this St. Mary team, like I said, is just, they're really well coached. They keep their head on straight, and they play a whole 40 minutes. So this team is going to have to be prepared for that. And but I do have Baylor coming out that game.
All right, I like the pick. We're going Baylor. And then to meet Baylor, our last Elite Eight matchup, UConn, Illinois. We got a 3 seed. We got 2 1 seeds. Are we going to get another 3? Are we going to get another 1? Who do you got winning, UConn or Illinois?
So this one is tough. This is going to be a test for UConn. Illinois is not going to go away easy this game. This is going to be one of those games where if UConn, takes the laps here and there in the first half and lets Illinois really run away with it by 10, I think that they can maintain that lead throughout the second half. But I believe this is going to be closely contested game for a majority of the game, and then UConn's gonna, just have that competitive edge and just beat them.
So the champions from last year, they're coming back to the Final Four. UConn and Baylor.
Yes.
So we are in the Final Four, folks. UConn, Baylor, Houston, Purdue. Our last two champions are UConn and Baylor, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. I believe that is correct. I think UConn, yes.
Who's going back to the Natty?
UConn's going back to back. I feel like this is their year. That they'll be there.
So UConn over Baylor.
UConn over Baylor. I believe this is a game that UConn's gonna understand. We got to make this. We have to make it to this championship game. They know what March is. They're not new to this.
All right, I like the pick. So we got a 1 seed in. We're gonna have another 1 seed in. Which seed is it gonna be? Is it gonna be Houston? Or is it going to be Purdue, the best player in the country in Zach Edey versus, let's be honest, even though they look bad against Iowa State throughout the entire year, the best team in the country in Houston? Who's meeting UConn in the Natty?
This is a game that, I had to think about, and it's really tough because I really love Houston. I love their coach. I got to see them play in person. Like, they're a really good team. They suffocate you the entire game, and like in the second half, they just get better. Like in the majority of games, they keep that foot on the pedal. But this Purdue team has something to prove this year. They
wow.
A lot of people are talking. I'm sure they hear that talk. The pressure is on now, and they have to perform. So if they came this far, I believe this is the game that they do not lose. I believe they can knock out Houston this round.
So we're gonna pick Purdue to beat Houston. That I'm pretty shocked by that. I really thought you were gonna go with Houston on that one. You gave me a good explanation, so I'm not gonna ask you to tell me why. But I'm shocked, and I'm not shocked at our championship game, UConn being in it. And you said a little bit earlier, this might be UConn's year. Maybe you were foreshadowing for the national championship. Number 1 UConn. Number 1 Purdue. Who's taking it home? Who is getting their one shining moment on April 8th? Who do you got winning, UConn or Purdue?
This one, this is gonna be one of those games. This is gonna be one of those staying up late. You're watching, two teams slug it out.
Yeah.
But like I said, Purdue, they need to win this. This is the year they need to capitalize on. Zach Edey needs to get that ship if he wants to be solidified and have that player status going into the draft. So I feel like his teammates will pick that up. And UConn's gonna, they have the front court advantage. I believe that their guards are better than Purdue's, but Purdue's guards can score, and they can score in abundance. So it's tough for me to take Purdue. But I am taking Purdue because.
So this is the year.
This is the year
for the Boilermakers. That's what Jabari thinks. So that's who we're picking. Purdue.
This is the year.
Boilermakers. The prediction for the official MyKel Sports bracket. So it's asking me for a tiebreaker. I don't really know. Like, did you enter a tiebreaker, winner, loser, or anything like that?
I think I put together. They were gonna get to. It says how many total points will be scored in the championship game, and I put 112 because I think it's gonna be a pretty.
Okay. A defensive game, kind of.
Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a defensive game.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll put. So since you said 112, that's 56 apiece. But you have Purdue winning, so we'll just do 60. And I know my math is gonna look really bad here, but I'll just go ahead and say 60-55. I'll go ahead and make that kind of my own 60-55 finish bracket. And I mean, I personally did not see this coming from you, but we have Purdue winning the national championship. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the screen recording, but wow, I'm surprised. I hope that everybody watching this video has had a good time watching this video. I had a lot of fun talking basketball with you. I'm sure we're gonna end up watching a lot of this tournament together.
Yes.
But ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have not yet, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and make sure to comment thank you in the comment section to Jabari. I mean, without him, this video really would not have been possible because, like I said, I'm not the biggest college basketball guy. I didn't watch it a lot this year. I really did need his help making this video. So thank you again to Jabari, and make sure to thank Jabari in the comment section. Jabari, if you want to shout out any of your social medias or anything like that, feel free to do so. If you don't care to, that's okay too, but go ahead and sign off for us. And actually, before you give an official sign off, I'm gonna go ahead and do mine. If you have not yet, make sure to follow me on my social medias. Instagram, the only social media I have for Michael Sports is Michael Sports on Instagram, and then my Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, and personal Instagram are all my9kl. That's gonna do it for me. Jabari, go ahead and sign us off, bro.
This has been great talking basketball with you, Mike, and yeah, we have a tournament to watch. This is gonna be a fun one. I'm getting a YouTube up and going. I don't have any videos, but if you do go find my account, the name is Jabeezy, Jabeeezy. You can go subscribe to that. Make sure you subscribe to Michael Sports, and yeah, we're gonna see how this tournament plays out. And this has been a fun one.
All right, guys, that's gonna do it for us. Please make sure to like, make sure to subscribe. I will be putting his YouTube channel at the bottom. And that's going to do it for us. I hope you had an amazing time watching this video. We're out of here. Peace.
Good news, good news, good news. That's all they want to hear. No, they don't like you when I'm done. But when I'm flying, no, it make them so uncomfortable, so different. What's the difference?